Hey guys, it's Sarah, and I'm here to do a really quick wrap up of the TBR Takedown readathon that I just completed. So TBR Takedown is a readathon that is hosted by Shannon over at Leaning Lights, and I will include a link to her YouTube channel, which is one of my favorites. She's one of my favorite booktubers. So make sure you go check her out if you haven't already. But she hosts a TBR Takedown readathon, and this was the third round of it, and it was a week long, and basically she gives you 7 challenges to kind of help prompt your reading if you need it. It's also very laid back, so you didn't have to do the challenges. Basically, you're just trying to slim down your TBR. And so I took one book for each challenge, and I kind of made that my entire January TBR because unfortunately I cannot read 7 books in 1 week. But I did a lot this week regardless. I actually ended up reading 1 novella, finished 3 novels, and got 77% on my Kindle through a 4th novel. So I did really good. This is the most I have ever read in a readathon, and I'm really, really proud of it. So really quickly, I'm going to show you what I read. I started off the readathon with the book that I was most excited to read, and that was You by Caroline Kepnes. And I read this book in 2 days. It was just, oh, it was so good, you guys. I gave this book 5 stars. I'm going to go into much more detail in my wrap up, and I'm actually going to do a series review on this because I'm currently almost done with the sequel to this book. And I have lots of thoughts, I have lots of feels, and I want to talk about them, but I will do that in other videos. So it's going to be hard to contain it. But really quickly, if you haven't heard of this book follows a stalker who is finds a woman and he is stalking her, and you are seeing everything from his perspective. So you are in the stalker's head, and it's creepy, and you feel things you're not supposed to be feeling, and it's crazy. So I love this book so much. It's very, very possible that this book will be in my top 10 of 2016. Like, that's how good it is. Second book that I completed is The Book Thief. I did start this back in December, and I got almost halfway through it, and then I needed to pick it up again and finish it. So I read almost half of it in this book, and I read a little bit on my Kindle too. I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this one because I was traveling, and the Kindle's easier to travel with and all that stuff on airplanes. But about halfway through, I switched to the audiobook, which helped because this is a historical fiction, and historical fiction is something I have a little bit of a harder time reading and getting into because it's not super fast paced, and it's not I don't know, it's probably the genre that I have the hardest time reading. And once I switched to the audiobook, I was completely in, and I just listened to it every chance that I could. The audiobook is wonderful. And then the ending of this book was holy crap. It was really good. I'm really glad I stuck with it because this is a book that I had previously DNF'd because I got a little bit into it and it wasn't captivating me, so I put it down. So I'm really glad I picked it back up. I did end up giving this book 4 stars. A lot of people give it 5 stars, and it's one of their favorite books. Just for me, I don't know, it was a little bit on the slower side for me, so I wasn't completely enthralled the entire time, so that's why I gave it 4 stars. But the ending in this just completely just broke my heart. But yep, so I finished this finally. The third thing I read is Larger Than Life by Jodi Picoult. This is a novella, and this is a prequel novella to Leaving Time, which is one of her newer novels, which I have not read yet. But this book follows a woman who is a scientist, and she is on a mission in Africa, and she's studying elephants. So a bunch of stuff happens over there with the animals and nature and, you know, that type of stuff. And it's very short. It was about 72 pages according to Amazon. I read it in 2 sittings. I really, really, really loved it. I love Jodi Picoult. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. And yeah, I really liked it. So now I'm ready to read Leaving Time after reading that one. So my next Jodi Picoult book will probably be Leaving Time. But I gave this one 5 stars. The fourth thing I read is I finished Sunless by Rochelle Mead. Now this one I had been waiting for the library because I read the first 5 chapters through NetGalley. I got them for free on NetGalley, and then I wanted to finish it because I really liked them. So I was waiting for the library book, and it was taking forever. I finally just got it on audio through the library. They did have the audiobook, so I went ahead and just listened to it. The narrator was great on the audiobook as well, and I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars because I I don't know, I was completely interested the entire time. And then the ending was a little strange. So that was the only problem I really had with it. And I was really enjoying it and listening to it and, you know, wanting to see what happens. The only problem I had with this book, and I thought that Sam from Thoughts on Tomes described this perfectly, because this is being categorized as a fantasy novel, and she mentioned that she would categorize it as a dystopian, which I completely agree with. There is one fantasy element, but it's in like the last chapter, the very last chapter, and it was kind of strange. So I was like, I don't know if you can just like throw that in there and make and say it's a fantasy. Um, I would call it more of a dystopian too, because this does follow a Chinese village who is pretty much in poverty, and they are in poverty because the government sees to it that they are in poverty. So I would definitely categorize this as more of a dystopian than a fantasy. At the same time, I did enjoy it. The writing was good. It was easy to follow. It was nice to listen to. And yeah, I gave it 4 stars. The ending was a little bit strange though. So yeah, couldn't give it 5. And the last book that I'm currently reading is Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kepnes, which is the sequel to You, and I'm 77% of the way through it. I'm definitely not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed You, but I still really am kind of flying through it. I'm enjoying it. I read a really, really big chunk of it yesterday. So yeah, more on my thoughts on that, because I'm not quite to the end yet, but I'm loving it. Okay, guys, that is what I read for the TBR Takedown. That is the most that I have read in a week in a very, very long time, and I'm so proud of myself for doing that. And I was busy this week too. We had kids going back to school and husbands going back to work, and just kind of trying to get back into the flow of everything. And it was, I still made that time to sit down and read a whole lot. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And there is going to be another round of the TBR Takedown Readathon. It's going to be a weekend one, and that will be April 1st through the 3rd. Shannon just talked about that. And so if you want to participate next time, it will be a shorter one, only 3 days, but I'm definitely going to be participating in it. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.